What's up, guys? This is Dave Marshall with the RC Air Marshall YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about the all-new Spektrum G2 smart chargers. Today we've got the S1400 for you guys to take a look at. But before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your notifications on so you're always made aware when new videos are coming out on the channel. Now let's take a look at the all-new Spektrum S1400 Gen 2 smart charger. The new Gen 2 line of Spektrum smart chargers brings a whole new look and appearance to the smart charger family. Both of the chargers, the S2200 and the S1400, bring a whole new look and feel, both to smart chargers in general, as well as the AC line. Now before, with the AC chargers, we had the S1100, the S2100, and then you had your DC line with your S1200 single channel 200 watt and your S1500, which was single channel 500 watt. And we'll take a look at the size comparison of the S1400 compared to our previous smart charger lineup, so you can see kind of a difference in the appearance as well as the size of those smart chargers. And let's also take a look at some of the external features of the S1400. As we look down to the top of the S1400, we'll see a big difference. You know, the previous smart chargers had kind of a click wheel with a select button in the center. The new user interface of the G2 smart chargers, both the S1400 and the 2200, have a new kind of push button user interface with a select button all the way to the right, an up arrow, down arrow for menu selections, as well as a back button on the left. So you don't have to go all the way through the menu selections to get to the back and select that. You can just hit that back button anywhere in the menu options and get back to your previous menus. On the front of the S14 and S2200s, we've got an all new design for the smart chargers, where at the top you'll see that we've got an IC3 connector, which is also backwards compatible with our EC3 style batteries. We've got a balance port in the upper right hand side. Now that's on the S1400. And on the S2200, we've got two of those where you've got one channel on the left and you've got your number 2 channel on the right. Now the other thing to notice is that you'll see a small door underneath the IC3 connector of the new smart chargers. And when you flip that door, it unveils, also an IC5 connector. So it doesn't matter if you're using IC3 or IC5 batteries, you no longer need a separate adapter, which is really nice. On the left-hand side of the smart charger, we've got a USB port, which is for plugging in any USB devices like your phone, if you need to charge your phone while you're at the field. And it's a 5 volt up to 2 amp charging with that USB charger. And to the left of the USB port, we've got a micro USB port, which can be used for later updates to the G2 series of chargers. On the back of the case, you'll see we have a fairly large cooling fan, which is nice. Usually the bigger the fan, the quieter it is. And we've also got what is new for the AC series of smart chargers, which is a dedicated power switch. And we've also got our AC power input. On release, the Spektrum G2 smart chargers are going to come in 2 different models. What we have here is the S1400, and it also comes in an S2200. They both look fairly identical, with there being a small difference in the user interface. So the push buttons, there's 2 additional push buttons on the top of the S2200 that will allow us to select between channels 1 and 2. You've also got, obviously, a second set of IC connectors and a second balance port on the S2200 over the S1400. Where the difference is the S1400 is a single channel dedicated 400 watt charger, and the S2200 is a dual channel 200 watts per channel, or if you're only using a single channel, you can charge a single battery at up to 380 watts. Now we're going to go ahead and turn on the power to the S1400. Again, this is the single channel 400 watt variant of the new G2 series of smart chargers. And when we power it up, we're going to see a very similar interface to the S1100, which kind of gave us a preview of that G2 user interface. And with the new G2 series upgrade for the previous generation of smart chargers, it brings some of the G2 functionality to those chargers as well. Now, when we first turn on the charger, you're going to see that it just has a, let's see if we can get that in there. It's got no battery detected, and it says that the charger is ready. So what it wants to see is us plug in a battery, and that will activate some of the features for starting your charge cycle. Now, getting into the menu on the S1400, we would press that select button, press it and hold it, and that will take us into the menu options. And just like the S1100, which we'll have a link to up in the upper right-hand corner of the video here, we would go and we would change our menu items by just using the up and down arrows. So we can change the charge type, where we can either do charge, discharge, or storage. We can hit the back button here. And we can also, change the battery type. We can change the cell counts, charge currents. We can go into our system settings, charge history, and we can hit the back button as well. Now, like I said, with the new back button, we no longer have to go all the way down to the back feature. And what we can do is we can just be up here at current. Now, before would say like the S1100, after we change our charge current, we'd have to scroll down to the bottom to go back. Here we can just hit the back button and it will take us back to that previous menu, which is really nice. Now we're going to go ahead and start a charge cycle on a non-smart battery. So that's what's nice about all of the smart chargers, is they're compatible with both smart batteries as well as standard LiPos. All right, so we went ahead and plugged in a standard balance board. It does work fine with your standard balance boards, but if you want to plug the balance lead straight into the balance port, that's fine as well. This is a Turnigy heavy-duty 3300 milliamp hour 6S pack. Now you'll see I went ahead and flipped my little door. I've got an EC5 connector on here, and we're plugging that into the IC5 plug, which is the bottom side of the charge ports that are built into the new G2 smart chargers. We'll go ahead and get that plugged in. We'll go ahead and plug in the balance port to our balance board. All right, and now we can see the individual cell voltages, which we can see this is at a nice 3.80 volts per cell at 22.8 volts, which is exactly what we expect to see with a battery that's sitting at a storage charge. Now let's go ahead and start up the charge cycle. To do that on a non-smart battery, we're going to press and hold the select button. We're going to go up here and we're going to make sure that everything looks right. So our cell count is correct. We want to have it set to charge, which we do. We have our task set to charge. The battery type is set to LiPo. The cell count is 6S. The 7.5 amps is a little high, so I'm going to hit the select button, and I'm going to go down to 6.6 amps and hit select. And now that we've got everything set up the way we want it, we can go here to start and hit the start button, hit the select button to start that charge cycle. And we'll see that we are now charging. So I'm going to leave it at 2C, but let's go ahead and look at some of the other things that we can see here. We can go to battery voltage and we can see all of our individual cell voltages as they're counting up, as well as the charge percentage and kind of that battery gauge. And we can also continue to hit the menu button, and now we've got an internal resistance menu, which will show us the internal resistance of each individual cell. And then we can go back up to the original menu for charging. Now, while it's in the middle of a charge cycle, if we press and hold the charge button, we can see that we can change the charge current. We're going to go ahead and stop the charge cycle and plug in one of the original Gen 1 series smart packs. So this time we're going to be hooking up one of the original first gen smart packs. This is a 5000 milliamp hour 6S50C pack. We're going to plug that into the EC5 port here on the bottom. Now what we'll see here on the menu is that it's asking us to insert the balance lead, so we'll go ahead and do that. There we go. And what's going to happen is the smart charger is going to go ahead and automatically start a charge cycle. Now based on the settings of this battery, I have the charge rate set at 7.5 amps. So we can see that it automatically shot up to a 7.5 amp charge rate. And we should see that right now the battery's at the 75% charge. We should see that charge time remaining come up here in a second and go live. So we see now that we've got 15 minutes charge time remaining for this particular battery. And I know that this battery can handle up to a 5C charge rate no problem. So let's go ahead and hit that select button and go up to current. Right now it's at 7.5 amps. And we're going to adjust that. Now keep in mind, when you adjust this here on a smart battery, it's also going to adjust it in the chip. So if you don't want it to be like this forever, you're going to need to adjust it back. But let's go ahead and set it to 20 amps and see where that brings us. Now that's already seeing that the charge rate has shot up there. And we're sitting at like a 16.3 amp charge rate now. And we're at 79%, and our charge time is already starting to go down. Now it's sitting at 12 minutes, so it's going to have to kind of recalculate that. But obviously we're going to charge much faster at a 16.2 amp charge rate, which is just over 3C for this particular pack. And you'll see that that charge time remaining is starting to tick down pretty quick. And you'll see we're at 24.5 volts. We're already sitting at 4.1 volts per cell, and everything is starting to tick up there pretty fast. So, when you've got a high power charger like this, where I've got a 400 watt charger, the ability to charge these 6S packs much faster than before is a new possibility that you weren't able to get with the S1100 or the S2100. So even at that 180 watts of the S2100, we're only looking at about half the charge rate that this S1400 and the new S2200 are capable of. And you see we're already down to 7 minutes. So like I was saying, the charge rate of this charger is fantastic. This is one of the Gen 1 batteries. We're going to take a look at how it charges the new Gen 2 batteries with a complete charge cycle. And the new Gen 2 batteries are pretty different. You can see I have a link up top here that shows you the new Gen 2 batteries. If you're not familiar with those, be sure to watch that video. And we're going to plug one of those in now and take a look at some of the differences. Now what we've got is one of the new Gen 2 smart packs. This is a 2200 4S 30C pack that we've got here. And as you may have noticed with the new Gen 2 smart packs, there is no longer a balance lead. It's no longer necessary when paired with a smart charger. In fact, if you look at these G2 packs, as noted in my video on the G2 batteries, it has a label here that says requires Spektrum Smart Charger. So in order to charge these packs and balance them properly, you really need to be using one of these new smart chargers, the G2 series chargers, and also if you have one of the Gen 1 chargers with the G2 update, it will also charge these new G2 batteries. This has an IC3 connector, so we're going to go and flip that door, plug in the IC3 connector, and without plugging in, because we don't have a balance lead, you can see that it already initiated the charge cycle. And it does that based on the data that's on the smart chip of the new G2 batteries. It makes it much more simple for people to be able to just plug in the IC3 on the battery and go. Now with this particular battery, I have it set up to a 1.5C. That's just a nice number that I always use. We should be able to take advantage of the full 5C charge rating that we can do on a 4S smart pack using a 400 watt smart charger. So I'm going to hit that select button down here. We're going to go up to charge current. We're going to hit select. Now with the smart packs, it knows what the limit that the battery can take is. So with this one, we should be looking at around 11 amps. So again, we'll go and select that again. And let's see what the maximum charge that it will allow us to do. So you'll see it stops at 11 amps. Even though the charger is capable of doing 20 amps, it stops at 11 because it's a smart pack. It knows what the limit of the individual pack is. So we'll go select that one more time and run this up to the maximum charge rate. And let's see what happens. All right, so here, let's see if I can get that to show up here. We can see that our charge rate is now 11 amps. We can see that the milliamp hours that we're packing into the battery is cycling up much faster than it was. And our charge time remaining, it was sitting at 18 minutes. We should see that number start to drop quite a bit. I mean, it just dropped down to 16 really fast there. So we're going to go ahead and watch this for the full charge cycle. We'll be back in just a second so we can see how the cell balancing and everything works when we charge one of the G2 Smart Packs with a G2 Smart Charger. So we've gone ahead and started the charge cycle on a 2200 milliamp hour 3S50C pack. So we can see here that our charge time remaining is about 7 minutes. I just plugged it in a few minutes ago. We're already packed in about 360 milliamps and counting at 11 amp charge rate, which is 5C on this 2200 pack. And we're almost all the way charged. I mean, this thing charges these new G2 Smart Packs and your older Smart Packs as well at up to 5C charge rates with that 400 watt charge capacity, and it can actually reach and maintain that 400 watts on 3S and 4S packs and achieve that full 5S charge rate. And you know, being a smart charger, it won't let you go past that charge rate. Now we can see that the battery is getting close to its full charge cycle, and the charge rate is starting to drop, right? Which is normal. That's to be expected. Now, the thing that's nice about this 400 watts is, you know, with our previous chargers in the Smart lineup, especially the AC chargers, you know, we could barely charge past that 1 to 1.5C charge rate, which is great when we're charging up all our packs at home, but it takes about, you know, 45, 50 minutes, you know, probably as low as maybe 30 to 40 minutes at a 1.5C charge rating. Now we can charge these packs with a 400 watt AC charger in as quick as like 10 minutes. So it's much faster. You can get through a lot more stuff. And at the field, especially when we're using a 400 watt charger, we're going to be able to get things done a whole lot faster, especially when we're talking 6S packs. All right, so we just finished up the charge cycle on the 2200 milliamp hour 3S50C pack that we've got plugged in. Again, no balance lead on these G2 batteries. So this is one of the new G2 Smart Packs that we've got plugged into the G2 Smart Charger. And again, for the battery packs, they are compatible with both the new S1400 and the new S2200 G2 Smart Packs, or Smart Chargers rather. And they're also compatible with your first gen smart chargers like the S1400 that we have here. But you need to do the G2 update to the S1400 or any of the other Gen 1 smart chargers in order to charge the new G2 batteries. Now, when we look here, we can see that it took a total of 8 minutes to charge this battery from a storage charge, which is fantastic. Normally on a storage charge battery at a 1C charge rate, it takes, you know, roughly 45 to 50 minutes to charge that pack. At 5C, we were able to do that in 8 minutes, which is great. And normally I wouldn't recommend charging at 5C, but when you're at the field and you're wanting to pack them up quick, great, charge them at 5C. At 400 watts for an AC charger, this is one of the highest power chargers on the market right now. All right, guys, so that is my look at the all-new Spektrum G2 Smart series of chargers. This is the S1400. They've also got the S2200, which is a 2-channel, 200-watt variant, or up to 380 watts on a single channel. This is single channel, 400 watts, all AC, no DC power supply required. My opinion of this is very high. These are awesome. I haven't had any problems with it. It can charge all of your batteries very fast because of that 400 watts, or you can keep it slow. You can charge your batteries down at 1C, no problem, all the way down to 0.1 amp, and this thing will handle everything. It obviously works great with the new G2 Smart batteries, and we'll have a link to those batteries right up here, and you can check out my video on those. Guys, if you're looking for a high power AC charger, I don't think you need to look too much further. This thing does fantastic. There's a lot of other chargers out there that do AC, but they're AC-DC, and usually they don't get up to their rated capacities when they're running on AC power. With the S1400, you're going to get the full 400 watts, all AC power. It's a little bigger, but I think that the size makes up for the capability. If you're interested in picking up one of these new G2 Smart chargers, we're going to have links down in the description. Be sure to use those. It helps the channel out when you use them. They are affiliate links. They offer a small commission to the channel at no extra charge to you. Be sure to check out our other links as well that all help out the channel, and we really appreciate your support. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.